it has to be done. Right? Did you hear what I said? Every single time you have a learning, there are points associated with it, and some of you just keep getting zeros because you're not doing it. This time, it's especially important because we have a test on Monday. Right? We have a test on Monday. And remember, if you don't take it Monday, you don't get your reference sheet. So if you think you're going to stay home because you have this headache or something, forget it. You're coming to school. You're coming to school.
I have Ptc Test.
Huh?
I have Ptc Test on Monday.
Well, we'll have to talk about that. You'll need to get that test taken early then, hopefully. All right. Practice test 2. We are ready for problem number 3, which is how many triangles are possible? Okay. So we got 3 of these, just like we'll have on our test. So here we go. How many triangles are possible? So the answer isn't going to be, 52 degrees or something. The answer is going to be 0, 1, or 2. This is practice test 2, problem number 3. All right, hopefully we've done enough problems in this little unit for you to notice this when you look at the problem. And what does that always say to me? It always says law of sines. So sine 73 over 6 equals sine s over 9. Everybody okay with that? What is wolf pack? What do you have on? It's not uniform.
It's like cathedral.
No, it's not a uniform sweatshirt. Look at Samantha. That's
So
a
good.
uniform sweatshirt.
Living during right.
Oh, he's just getting a detention for not being in uniform.
We do those?
Well, he's getting an infraction.
Okay.
Who else do we have? Tima, I can't see your shirt. Are you in uniform? Yep, you sure are. Get that
Jason's
vest
in
off
uniform.
here.
Yeah, buddy.
That's not uniform. Okay, but you gotta be in uniform. This is not uniform.
No coats.
No coats.
No coats on the server.
Thank you. What?
30's the one.
Is that the cafeteria? room?
Yeah.
It's 30's the
Cody right now.
Yes, sir.
All right, now I'm gonna cross multiply. And divide by 6. Remember, you don't separate the sine and the angle ever. So the sine and the angle are always go together. So S is going to be second sine this fraction. Somebody was in here this morning getting some help and couldn't figure out why she kept getting a decimal. This will be a decimal when you type it in. You don't want the decimal, you want the actual angle. And to find the angle, you have to do second. Okay? So we're in the second sine. Alright? Now, one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to get an answer or I'm going to get an error. So let's see what happens. Second sine. Sine 73 divided by 6. Oh! Error. Did you get error?
Yep.
What does that mean? Low triangle. So the answer to the problem would be 0. Okay, so on that problem, I'm going to see work that looks like this. And then in the answer blank, you're going to put a 0. Right? Oops, let's cross something here. Isn't this exactly the same situation? So sine 52 over 16 equals sine S over 18. So we'll cross multiply. And of course, when we cross multiply, we divide. So we're going to divide by 16. So that's unbreakable bond right there. And then I will second sine again. See, we have to move up this time. You got an answer, did you? I got 62.44. So now, I have to check to see if I'm gonna have another answer. So I'm gonna think about the same triangle, and you don't have to redraw it if you don't want to, but I wanna emphasize that that's 52. That isn't changing. The angle that's changing is this one. And it's changing into 180 minus that one. So 117.56. And now what do you check? Now you check to make sure that that can be, it's a triangle. These two have to add up to less than 180. And they do. So therefore that triangle's good and that triangle's good. So there are two possible answers. Really good at that? Alright. You okay? Okay. Got another one just like it. Sine 75 over 10. Sine S over 8. So then you check, the second one would be 129.4. Can you have that? No. So that one didn't work, that one did, therefore there is one possible answer. Got it? All right. Problem 4. Now these are all area. It will be just like this on the test. There'll be two super simple ones, and then there'll be a harder one. So let's look. I am going to say that problem A, I'm looking at number 4 now. Problem A is super simple. Are you just talking about math back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do I say that problem? I'm going to find area. Why do I say it's super simple?
Because you can find the perimeter.
I just find the perimeter, and the perimeter is all of these added up, so it is 18. But I don't use 18. I have to do half of it, semi-perimeter. So then my area will be this big radical, and the first number under the radical is 9. And then there's 3 more numbers under the radical, and what are they? 9 minus 7, 9 minus 5, and 9 minus 6. Everybody okay with that? 9 minus each side. Ready? And you get 14.7 out. That look okay? I think that problem's super easy. I think C is also super easy. Why is C super easy? Because I have 2 sides and the angle in between. And when you have that, there's even less work than over here. There's literally no work. You type in on your calculator what? Area is going to be 1/2, 11, 10, sine 53. Remember that, kids? Everybody good? So 1/2, 11, 10. Did you get 43.92? Okay. Huh? Type that in. Well, you're gonna have to wait. That's what office hours are for. Now, why is B harder? Yeah, you don't have what you need. Think about these 2 problems that we just did. In order to do this one, we needed all 3 sides. And in order to do this way, we had to have 2 sides. What do we have in problem B? 1 side, and that is not enough. 1 side is not enough. So, I gotta find the area of this, I need another side. How can I do that? I can find this angle for sure. So where is that? 35. Is this 45? And then my heart starts beating fast because what's this? Here. So now whenever I see that, I think law of sines. So sine 45 over 15 equals sine 72 over S. Or you can do sine 63 over C. Wouldn't matter. Alright, so now let's go ahead and put a cross multiply. So S sine 45 equals 15 sine 72. And after I cross multiply, I divide. What will I be dividing by? Sine 45. Do I need to second sign this one? No. Just put it back in. So 15 sine 72 divided by sine 45. Did you get 20.17? I can do my area. It will be 1/2 side, side, sine. And what two sides am I using? These two. So what angle am I using? That one. So it's going to be 15, 20.17, 63 sine 60. I got 134.79. So what you got? So, on the test, there will be 3 area problems. 2 of them will be super simple, and the third one will be like this. We're gonna have to do a little background work in order to find the area. Got it? All right, last thing. Oh, we have left our word problems. Here we go. Find the area of a regular pentagon inscribed in a circle. So what does pentagon mean? 5. So 5 dots around my circle. You have to have a picture, but your picture isn't getting graded, so don't worry about how bad it looks, but try to make it decent. And the radius is 10. The radius goes from the center to one of your dots. That's a radius. And actually, you can go to all the dots if you wanted to. They're all 10s. We've done quite a few of these. Who remembers what the next thing is? We gotta find our angle, right? All of these angles right here add up to 360, and there are 5 of them, so each one is 72. Look at this triangle. Can you find the area of that triangle? Yeah, because you need 2 sides and the angle in between, and I have that. So the triangle area is 1/2, 10, 10, sine 72. Now, get a number, I got 47 point something. That is not the answer, so don't write it down, just leave it right there on the calculator. What are you gonna do to get the area of the pentagon? Just hit times 5. So 237.76. And that would be square feet. Rounding matters, so don't round until you have to. Just hit times 5 on your calculator. Okay. Number 2. Now we've got a parallelogram. What does a parallelogram look like? Did you have to draw it? So you better know what it looks like. A parallelogram.
Crooked rectangle.
A slanted rectangle, that's right, so it looks like this. There's your parallelogram. And the sides are 10 and 16. And the larger angle is 104. So would you agree this is the larger one? And we want to find the area. Cut it in half. So we'll draw in that diagonal right there. And that makes this triangle. Would you agree with me when I draw in that? It makes that triangle right there. And notice what you have. You have 2 sides and the angle easy. The triangle area will be 1/2, 10, 16, sine 104. This time, though, I won't be timesing by 5. I'll be doing what? Timesing by 2. So for the parallelogram, I got 155.25 square centimeters.
Does it matter if I cut it the other way? If I got the same answer?
No, that would be fine. That would be fine. All right, everybody good with that one? Number 3. Same picture, but a different question. So here's our parallelogram. This time, I want the length. Let's stop right there. Length. This is not area. Length is either law of sines or law of cosines. I want the shorter diagonal. Now, is the one I drew in problem 2, is that the shorter diagonal? No. This would be the shorter diagonal, right? This is my x. Now, I know that whole angle is 104. I have no idea how big these pieces are, and I don't care. I know this guy right here is 76. How do I know he's 76? Because these two always add up to 180. They are same side interior or consecutive interior angles. So these guys always are supplementary. They add up to 180. So if I can't use the 104, which I cannot, because I cut through it, then I'm going to use the other one, 76. Do not do 1/2, 10, 16, sine 76. Do not do that. That would be area. What do I do if I have to find x? Law of cosines. That's exactly right. X squared on this side and cosine 76 on this side. And then what's going to be in the middle? 16 squared plus 10 squared. Yep. And the order of all this doesn't matter, right? That could be 10 first and then 16. That doesn't matter. I got 16.69 centimeters. If you said 278, you forgot to square root. Remember, that is x squared. So we need to square root whatever we got there and get this.
Why is this just centimeters on centimeters squared?
Because it's not area. Area is square units. If I measure the distance from you to me, that's 20 feet. If I measure the area of this room, it's feet squared. All right, one more. We have a regular decagon. What does that mean? Decagon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go. 60 all the way around divided by 10. So then my triangle area will be 1/2 15 times 15 times sine 36. And then with the answer though, I'm going to take that and times 10. And I got 661.26 square inches. Okay. All right, now, a while back, we did when we were practicing those simplifies, I gave you a sheet like this, and we did one side, and then the next day we did the other side. On the back of that is something called extra review. So you need, if you have that sheet, that's great. If you don't, then just need to write down the problems with us, because we're not gonna go back and dig through the file. Okay, so you can hang on to it, I'm sure it's in there somewhere. And if not, you'll write down the problems. But you will need a sheet of paper, because there's no room on this. Alright, so you can get a sheet of paper out, or, yeah, notebook paper, maybe even two. And this sheet has everything on it that's on the test. It's not written like a test, but it has exactly the same kind of problems. So, we're on the back of the extra practice 5.1 that we did already. We did all 23 of these problems. On the back side of that, where it says extra review, and I'm just starting at the top, and we'll work our way through and see how many of them we get done. So here are the first three. Number one right here. Simplify. Directions say simplify. What is your thought? Okay, you get out your paper and write down these problems. If you can't find the paper. But you need to touch your paper and write it right now. All right, anybody notice anything about problem number one? What? Difference of squares. The top is the difference of squares. So how will the top factor?
Sine plus 5, sine minus 5.
Exactly, sine x minus 5, sine x plus 5, in either order, doesn't matter. And then what do you notice? No, sweetie, we're not digging through. Just write down the problems with us as we go. What do you notice about this?
Cancel out.
We can cancel, and the answer is sine x minus 5. Easy. Well, wait a minute, look at this one. What do we notice about that one? We have the difference of squares again. This time it's in the bottom. So we have cosine minus 3 on top, and then how will the bottom factor? Cotangent minus 3 and cotangent plus 3, and again, the order doesn't matter. You can do plus and then minus. And then what? Cancel. Be careful this time though. what's the answer?
1.
1 over cotangent plus 3. 1 over, because the leftover factor was in the denominator. Here it was in the numerator. When it's in the denominator, you have to do 1 over. Okay? Alright, do that one. That guy right there. Isn't he the same thing?
Yeah.
When you factor the top, it's 10 minus secant x, 10 plus secant x. You can't turn that around. The 10s come first. 10 plus and 10 minus. But, since that's an addition, will these two cancel? Yeah, because that you can add both ways. You can't subtract both ways, but you can add both ways. So the answer is 10 minus secant x. Okay. How do we feel about those three? Good? All right, let's look at the next three. Actually, I only have one for two. That one's so good. Okay. All right, so clearly not the difference of squares, right? What are we gonna do with this? This is problem D. Yeah, we're changing it to fractions. Now, there's nothing to do with sign. Sine is sine. Cosine is cosine. But what is cotangent? Cosine over sine. Fight the temptation to cancel. See that plus sign right there? That ruins everything. That ruins everything. So I have sine plus cosine squared over sine. I can multiply these two together. This is a multiply here, so I can multiply them. And you still can't cancel, boys and girls. That's a plus. You can only cancel when it's a times. So what do?
Keep changing.
It's not a divide. I keep change flip if it's a division problem. This is not. It's an add. What do I do when I add?
Multiply.
I get a common denominator. Don't forget all the things you learned, in 4th grade. When you're adding fractions, you have to have the same denominator. So, looks like my common denominator is going to be sine, so I'm going to multiply this one, top and bottom, by sine. Now, do they have the same denominator? Yep. So one fraction. What's this side of the numerator? Sine squared. What's cosine squared? We're leaping for joy because what's sine squared plus cosine squared? 1. So I have 1 over sine, and what is 1 over sine? Cosine. Alright, that was more steps, but now a hard one in there. Nothing hard about that. You know how to do every single one of those steps. Alright, what do you want to do with this guy? Change everything into fractions. So sine squared over 1. Cosine over 1. What's cotangent squared? Cosine squared over sine squared. What is secant squared? 1 over cosine squared. And tangent is sine over cosine. Now, every operation in that problem is multiplied, correct? So there's no common denominators, there's no keep, change, flip, there's none of that. I am just gonna start canceling. Because in a multiply problem, I can cancel. So, sine squared's gone. Cosine squared's gone. Cosine's gone. And it looks like all I have left is sine. Perfect. Last one in problem number 1. So this is F. Oh yeah, when it's time, yeah, I don't know if anybody ever answered me, but either else, let me see. Yeah, when it's time to go, you guys need to go. Oh yeah, Mr. Barr says you're good to go, so you're good to go. So, have fun curling. Remember, we have a test on Monday. All right, what do we do first? I would change my tangent into what? What is tangent? Sine over cosine. Now that is a plus sign. When you have a plus sign, you do not cancel. What do you do when you have a plus sign? You get common denominators. So this first thing is sine squared over cosine. The second thing is cosine over 1. Right? So what's my common denominator going to be? Cosine, yep. So I'll give this one a cosine on the top and the bottom. Now the denominators match, so I can write one fraction. This numerator is sine squared. What is that numerator? Cosine squared. And here we go, leaping for joy, because sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. This time I have 1 over cosine, and 1 over cosine is secant. So that's a lot like the other one. D and F are a lot alike. Okay. Now, we're not going to get through the whole sheet. So number 2 says how many triangles are possible. 3 is an area. 4 is a word problem. 4 and 5 are word problem situations. And 6 is solve the triangle. So what would we practice? Where do you feel the?
Can you go over, it might not be on the sheet, can you go over one where all 3 sides are given and no angles are given?
Yes, that would be like a problem in 6. Neither one of those is that way, but it would be a solve the triangle problem. So if we are given all 3 sides, so like 10, 11, and 12, and the directions are solve the triangle. That does not mean find the perimeter and all that. That's area. If we are solving the triangle, to solve the triangle, we're not doing area, to solve the triangle, it's either law of sines or law of cosines. That's it. Those are your two options. So, which is it gonna be? It's gotta be cosines because we don't have the pair that we need. So, pick an angle. I like to start with the biggest one. So the biggest one would be B. Would you agree with that? Could you find another one? Absolutely you could. I will be very honest with you. There are certain situations where there could be a little bit of weirdness happening, but if you start with the biggest one, you'll always be safe. So that's why I do it. Alright, so I'm gonna find that angle. So if I'm using the law of cosines, then that's gonna be cosine B. And over here is going to be 12 squared. That's how the law of cosines works. And then what's in the middle of all that? 10 and 11. So 10 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 10 times 11. Now because the variable is clear out there, not here, I can't just start typing everything in. So my suggestion is you do it a piece at a time. So 12 squared is 144, 10 squared is 100, 11 squared is 121, and 2 times 10 times 11 is 220. Now you're tempted to add all this up right here, but you can't. Of these three numbers, which ones can be combined? These two, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and combine them. Now, do not combine these. Okay, they can't be combined, so what are you gonna have to do instead? You can't put those together. You're gonna have to subtract the 221. And we get negative 77. And then
Divide the 220.
so 77 over 220. The negatives are gonna cancel. And that is not angle B, that is the cosine. So what do we always have to type when we're finding an angle? Second. So this time it's going to be second cosine, because this is a cosine problem. So second cosine 77 over 220. I got 69.51. Alright, are you keeping up with this here? Now, could you do exactly the same thing to find another angle? You could. But what might be easier? Now I can use my law of sines. Do you see that? I still have two more angles to find. So I'm going to go ahead and use my law of sines. So sine 69.51 over 12 equals sine A over 11. Is that okay? I can do C over 10. So 12 sine A equals 11 sine 69 type in on my calculator. Second sine now, don't I need the second sine to find that angle? So second sine, 11, sine 69, and I got 59.17. Now, depending on how much fun you're having, you could do the law cosines again, you could do this again to find the other angle. You could do the law sines to find the other angle. Or we could just subtract these from 180. And I got 51.32. No matter what you're given, in this case we were given 3 sides. If you are solving the triangle, you are going to use law of sines or cosines. Okay? Alright, so looking at the sheet, you're thinking in your own mind, I could get what do we need to practice? Let's look at number 3, the area problems. Which two are the easy ones? A and B. A is easy because we know the perimeter. B is easy because we have 2 sides and the angle in between them. So what will we have to do for problem C in part 3? Find the other angle. Then we can do the law of sines to find another side. And then we can go ahead and find the area. In problem 4, it's another parallelogram problem. Which one would be the longer? It says A, 4A says find the length of the longer diagonal. Which one would be the longer one? Wouldn't it be this one? That's problematic because it cuts up that angle, so I'm not going to use that angle. I'm going to have to use this one. What will that angle be? 157. And then if I'm finding a length, law sines or cosines. That one would be a cosine, all cosines. Okay. All right. No other questions? Okay. Test on Monday. We'll do practice test 3 on the e-learning day.